It is 1:30 on Tuesday afternoon, the 28th of September. Before I call it to order, I'd like to invite Pastor George Saylor to provide our invocation. Welcome, George.
Thank you so much. I imagine every minister says this at the start of every meeting, but what an honor to be included and to be a part of the community here in Douglas County. I certainly thought this is apropos, and this is in no way soliciting. Tonight, my church, some people will gather to make meals and deliver them with the Winter Shelter Network. Those kind of partnerships are only possible by working together with the county. I am truly grateful for this opportunity and our continuing partnership. Let me open in a prayer. Our gracious Heavenly Father and Creator, we give you thanks for this day and the blessing and the joy of life, the common life that we share together, and the provision that all of us enjoy. You've poured out blessing abundantly on our nation, on our community, and into our lives. And we do want to express gratitude and thanks. We also want to ask for your presence and your spirit and your power to be upon all those who share and do work today. Lord, we recognize that we are called to be stewards. You've entrusted to us a responsibility in decision making. And so I do ask for you to guide and to direct the decisions, the work that will be made and done here today. We recognize that decisions that are made will affect our neighbors, will affect our lives, will affect loved ones. So we pray that the decisions and again, the work carried on through this meeting will help lead forward in the common blessing and enrichment of all of our lives. May justice be done. May goodwill be invoked. May prosperity flow from all that stems from the work being done here. We pray this in your name, Heavenly Father. Amen. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Pastor Saylor, for being with us. And I would just like to thank Commissioner Teal for really instituting this invocation. What a wonderful opportunity, regardless of your faith background, to take a moment and level set in terms of our perspective. So thank you for that. With that, I'll go ahead and call to order this afternoon's business meeting. Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Attorney Ingalls, do we have certification of the agenda today?
We do, Mr. Chair. My office has reviewed all items on today's agenda, and they all meet legal approval.
Thank you, Mr. Ingalls. Do any commissioners have disclosures for items on this agenda?
I have none, thank you.
No, sir.
And I have none either. At this time, prior to citizen comment and organization comments, I wanted to provide our commissioners an opportunity to share some information and special news for those in the listening public.
Thank you, Commissioner Layden. I think gratitude is a good word to use for how I feel right now. The county started on a journey in July of last year when I made a motion with Commissioners Layden and Partridge that we leave Tri-County Health. That was a 3-0 vote. And since then, many people have been working together to make that a reality so that Douglas County residents have public health services delivered to them in a tailor-made process for Douglas County. Since that time, we've had lots of ups and downs, but because of recent amazing work by county managers, Tri-County Health Department, county commissioners, we have come to a resolution in this county where we will now have public health services provided by Tri-County Health under the governance of the Douglas County Board of Health. And so I'm just very grateful that all the people who have worked together so hard that this has finally become a reality. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Thomas. Commissioner Teal?
The balance of my comments would be very much like my colleague, Commissioner Thomas. I really appreciate you guys last year when I was still a member of the Castle Rock Council. I appreciated your leadership. I appreciated you taking the stand. I know there was many steps that I have had the honor and pleasure to be a part of since January to get us to this day. I too feel gratitude. I too feel joy. For 23 years in the software industry, I would help companies go through pretty big processes. There would be mergers, there would be acquisitions. We'd throw in business software in new warehouses. We'd take on new divisions. And at every time, there was always all these steps that involved a great deal of work by a number of people. And at the very end of the process, we'd be about 2 weeks after go live, maybe a month after go live, and I'd be sitting with the president of a company, a CEO, and he or she would look across at me and say something affirmative, that the project went well, we did it, we accomplished this thing as an organization. And each and every time, my job in that situation was, yes, you did something extraordinary. Congratulations. Get to work. Because that's really all we'd ever do, is we'd create more work for ourselves, but hopefully work in a better way, more efficient way, and a way that was more rewarding for those doing the work and benefiting from that work. So, hey, congratulations there, colleagues. Let's get to work.
Thank you, Commissioner Teal. I think that's a great comment. And I would echo my board that today is a day of sincere gratitude for all that brought us to this point. I think that gratitude begins with an extension of thanks to Commissioner colleagues in Adams County, in Arapahoe County, as well as the public health leaders at Tri-County Health that worked collaboratively with Douglas County to ensure that our common goal of delivering exceptional public health services would have no gaps. At the same time, having been one of 3 commissioners through a global pandemic, the bipartisan need for local control over public health is critically essential, driven by expertise, by science, but by a community that understands its own uniqueness. And I would be remiss if I didn't extend a special commendation and thanks to our phenomenal county council, Lance Ingalls, and our county manager, Doug DeBoard, who have been with this county for many years. And it's because of their keen insights, abilities, and excellence in governance that this occurred today. So thank you to all that were involved, and let's get to work. With that, I'd like to move to item number 2, which is citizen comment and organization comments. At any time, anyone may address the commissioners about any topic, unless, of course, it's a topic on the consent or regular agenda. You will be prompted to comment on those items at the appropriate time. Is there any citizen comment? Yes, sir. And if you could state your name and address for the record, and you have 3 minutes of citizen comment.
Jim McGannon, 765 Winford Parker. I wish I shared your enthusiasm for leaving Tri-County Health. I don't. And it's not bipartisan public health to me. I wanted to tell you that unless I'm seriously misinformed, and I do stay pretty well up to date on the issues, if this was a 55-year partnership, I'd like to know why it was so important to leave it now. But I want to state to you that the decision not to be, this is not in the best of the public interest when it comes to public health. And there's nothing to do with public health in terms of what I see it as a political maneuver. Now, earlier this year, I sent an email to you. Mr. Layden responded. I got about the defiance to the state on their closing orders, the defiance of the Tri-County Health. Mr. Layden responded to me more in a lecture on what I already knew what the issues were, but that it was so hard on the businesses. Now, I'm not naive enough to think that just because I believe this was a political maneuver that you're wrong necessarily. But when it comes to public health, I believe you are. So, the decision's been made. I want to say too that Mr. Layden, you made hardly a mention in that email to me of the public health, but more of the politics of it. And if that isn't enough, you're fighting with the sheriff about the red flag law that was passed last year. That was very dismaying. I'm a gun owner of all my life. And when I saw that vitriol, I couldn't believe it. I'm living in Douglas County, and this is what I'm seeing. Again, this is not in the best interest of health, safety, and the welfare of the county residents here. You know, I feel like I've had enough. Maybe it's time for me to run for county commissioner.
Thank you for your comments, sir. I think as a point of personal privilege, I want to acknowledge that perhaps before you leave. First of all, thank you. We appreciate all citizen comment and engagement, but nothing could be less political than this decision today and the journey that we have been on. Your county commissioners have worked for 18 months to manage a global pandemic on a local level. And I'd say 90 to 95% of those that came before us and have reached out, emailed, texted, and called have been wildly supportive of making their own decisions about their health choices. We deeply care about the science and the expertise, but we must listen to our citizens. This is not political. We have 3 other counties that also have demonstrated a desire for local control. Adams County is entirely Democrat. Arapahoe is mixed. We're Republican. All 3 have indicated a need for local control over public health orders. This is bipartisan. This is effective. We're too big to be small at 360,000 individuals. Sir, I hope you continue to walk with us in that journey and continue to interact with us because we want to serve you. That's what we're here to do. So thank you for that. Additional citizen comment from the room? Okay, seeing none. Troy, is there any online comment?
Thank you, Commissioner. I have no online comment.
Okay. With that, I will close citizen comment and move to item 3, which is our consent agenda.
Just to be clear, when you asked for citizen comment, you said it was exclusive of consent agenda? So were you going to do consent agenda comments from the public before or after?
We can do consent agenda comment right now if there's any comment on the consent agenda. Seeing none in the room. Troy, do we have any comment online on the consent agenda?
Thank you, Commissioner. I have no online comment on consent agenda.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Then I have a motion if you'd like to accept one, Chair.
I will.
I have a motion to approve the requests in all items A through Q of the consent agenda.
Second.
There's a first and second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, and that motion passes 3-0. With that, we will move to item 4A in our regular agenda. And item 4A is an intergovernmental agreement with Jefferson County and award a construction contract with Myers & Sons Construction, LLC for Trumbull Bridge Rehabilitation. And that is project number CI 2019-018. And we have Benjamin Pierce from engineering presenting for us. Hi, Benjamin.
Hi.
Hi.
So let's see. I think, where's the other?
Sorry, it's a little different than last time I was there.
You have to turn it on.
Okay. Okay. Wonderful. Excellent. Thank you for bearing with me while I get that figured out. So Appreciate your time today. And, as Commissioner Layden mentioned, I'm here to talk about the approval of an IGA with Jefferson County and approval of a contract with Myers & Sons for the Trumbull Bridge Rehabilitation Project. My name is Ben Pierce. I'm an engineer here in the Douglas County Transportation Capital Improvements Group. So this, on the cover page here, is a picture of the bridge from the side. And as you can see, there's definitely a little bit of corrosion and some age being shown there. So let's see. Here we go. So project overview. So this is a map of the area, and as you can see, there's a bridge over the South Platte River, and that is the bridge that we are here to discuss today. And this is right on the border of Jefferson County and Douglas County, so on the very far western side of Douglas County. So the project location is really, it's a very sensitive ecological area. The South Platte River has a lot of special ecosystem, and it's very important as we're doing this project, and something we certainly kept in mind to protect the environment at all stages of the project. And I also wanted to point out the construction staging area. So this orange box is kind of where the project will be staged, and the contractor will have their equipment in a protected, secured location. I also wanted to draw your attention, I'll speak more to it in a moment, but the Trumbull Fire Station on the Jefferson County side. So that is the fire station as part of North Fork Fire District that services a significant portion of western Douglas County. So a little bit about the project need. In 2019, when the statewide bridge inspection occurred, one of the things that was pointed out to Jefferson County, the owner of this bridge, is that there was extensive corrosion and some serious issues regarding these structural integrity of the deck. So in 2019, Jefferson County performed these temporary repairs, and the picture on the bottom left basically shows a steel plate that was added just underneath the surface in order to make the bridge joint a little bit more rigid and prevent the deterioration. But it was a temporary fix, and we knew at that point that something needed to be done to address the long-term concerns related to the structure of the bridge. And on the top right, this is a picture from the bridge inspection. You can see there's extensive corrosion along that bridge joint in the center of the bridge. And that's largely because the asphalt that was paved on top of the deck panels basically is porous, and there's not a waterproofing membrane. So water over time, since this bridge was constructed in 1990, has seeped in, sat, and then really accelerated that corrosion more so than you would see with a typical composite bridge deck like we are replacing. So a little bit more about the project overview. So like I said, this bridge is critical to the continuity of emergency services. North Fork Fire District serves about 45 square miles of western Douglas County. So in that picture, you can see that red area is all within Douglas County, which is serviced by the North Fork Fire District. And North Fork Fire District has 3 stations, one just on the west side of the project in Jefferson County, the Trumbull Station, and then Pine Station and Buffalo Creek Station. So one of the reasons this project is so important is because if this bridge were not in service, all of that section that would need to be serviced by this emergency fire district would need to come through alternate routes. And so it'd probably add about an hour or more of travel times to that section of Douglas County for emergency services. So that's one of the reasons why we're partnering with Jefferson County, and we see it as such an important improvement and rehabilitation project. So parts of the rehabilitation project, including replacing the bridge deck. So as I mentioned, that's the part that was all corroded through there, those deck panels, and then the entire deck above it, that will all be removed and replaced. Replacing the bridge rail. On the very first page, you saw that the guardrail that was there was just kind of welded onto the outside of the existing bridge, which is not a safety tested bridge rail, and we will be replacing it with a safety tested bridge rail. We'll be replacing the bearing pad, so that's basically between the steel and the concrete components of the bridge, what those girders sit on. And then replacing the guardrail approaches. So again, the guardrail that's out there is not to current standards. It definitely has been damaged by snow plowing and occasional accidents. And so replacing it with a current updated standard guardrail. And then we're also constructing approach slabs. So that's a concrete panel that basically transitions from the road to the bridge. And if you've ever driven across a bridge, that right when you cross it, there's kind of a thump that you feel the wheels hit. That's usually because there's not an approach panel. And so this helps make that transition from the road onto the structure smoother. And then lastly, we're constructing concrete abutment diaphragms. So that's really a matter of encasing the ends of the girders and attaching it to the abutment. So that'll extend the life of the bridge by making it more structurally sound long-term and preventing additional corrosion by encasing it in concrete. So in terms of the bid selection process that we used as staff to find a contractor to award, we solicited bids on August 10th, 2021, and we received 5 bids. And so you can see the 5 contractors that are listed here with Myers & Sons Construction highlighted as the lowest apparent bidder. And it's been through legal review. Everything is good with the contract on that side. And so the total contract value for their bid was just a little over $1.4 million. And one point I wanted to explain was the difference between what our bids came in at and the engineer's estimate. So usually we try to have our engineer's estimate, we always try to have it be close to what the contract ends up being bid for. But in this case, you can see we were off by a significant amount, close to 40-some%. And the main reasons for that difference is because with the supply chain issues that we're seeing throughout the industry, when we do our engineer's estimate, it's based on historical pricing data. And as we're seeing significant inflation in cost of structural components like steel and concrete, those costs have gone up a lot. And we just weren't able to understand exactly where that was going to be. Additionally, the remote nature of this project, being on the far western side of the county, definitely adds difficulty to both get labor and materials up there for the project. So the project schedule, we have, assuming approval here today, there are pre-construction meetings scheduled for this Thursday, September 30th. And so that's for Douglas County staff to meet with the contractor to discuss the project and understand any kind of upfront items in order to get moving quickly. With an anticipated notice to proceed provided to Myers & Son on October 19th. Again, the delay between the pre-construction meeting and the NTP to the contractor is largely a matter of them getting the equipment and the materials to be able to start the project because they are seeing some difficulties in obtaining certain materials for the project. So the contract duration is 240 calendar days, which means the contract will need to be complete by June 16th of next year. And as I mentioned up at the beginning of the presentation, this project is a partnership with Jefferson County. So as part of this agenda item, asking for approval to enter an intergovernmental agreement with Jefferson County. So like I said, this is their bridge, but it is a very important asset to both counties as it is on the county border. And the IGA is basically to split the construction funding. So Jefferson County will be contributing $716,000 and Douglas County will be contributing just over that amount in order to make the project whole. And the IGA was approved by Jefferson County at their board meeting this morning at 8 o'clock. And so we'll make sure that gets updated in the materials for you all. So that concludes my presentation, and the staff recommendation is, again, approval of an IGA with Jefferson County and approval of a construction contract with Myers & Sons for the Trumbull Bridge Rehabilitation Project. So please, if there's any questions or comments.
Thank you, Benjamin. Any questions for Benjamin?
Benjamin, thank you for that presentation. It's amazing how much a bridge costs to repair. And I don't know if we have hundreds or thousands of bridges in Douglas County, but this is really a good example of how we need to maintain these bridges. Because if that bridge were to fail, we would have lots of issues, and you talked about the fire mitigation issues as just one of them. I think this, while some people might think this is kind of minor, most people probably don't even know where Trumbull is. This is really an important project, like all of the ones that you do. And I'd like to thank you for the time you spent putting together this presentation for us.
Commissioner Teal?
I have no questions, Chair. It was an excellent presentation, Benjamin. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And I would agree with that. I think it's so important to have these partnerships and projects that are of significance to our community. Certainly, there's a cost associated with them, but wonderful presentation, and I will be in favor. Pending some citizen comment, of course. With that, I will, unless there's further comment or questions for Benjamin on this item 4A, I will open it up for any public comment. Is there any public comment on this item on the agenda? Seeing none in the room, Troy, do we have anybody online for item 4A?
Thank you, Commissioner. I have no online comment.
Okay, thank you. And with that, I will close public comment and bring it back to the board for further discussion and/or a motion.
Chair, if it pleases the board, I'd like to make a motion to approve an intergovernmental agreement with Jefferson County and award a construction contract with Myers & Sons Construction, LLC, and for Trumbull Bridge Rehabilitation, say that 5 times fast, for an amount not to exceed $1,432,574.90. Project Douglas County, project number CI 2019-018, and wish to speak in favor of the motion in the event of a second.
Second.
There's a first and second on the floor. Commissioner Teal?
Thank you, Chair. Again, I want to thank Benjamin. Great presentation. My first comment is thank God it's a nice rural bridge over the South Platte and not a metropolitan bridge over the Mississippi like so many other counties in America have to deal with. But this is nuts and bolts government. I mean, when you look at it, guys, that's not a community that knows the difference between Jeffco and Douglas County. I mean, I'm sure they know the difference, who's a Jeffco resident, who's a Douglas County resident, but we're talking a community that really lives crossing that border every day. So really glad we were able to get this done, really glad we're able to take care of what is just a critical piece of infrastructure, even in this kind of small population corner of our county, and really glad we were able to work with Jefferson County and share those costs. I do speak in favor of the motion.
Thank you, Commissioner Teal. Further discussion? Okay, seeing no further discussion, there's a first and second. All those in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, and that motion passes 3-0. We'll move on to item 4B on the agenda, which is a public contract for services to Aecom Technical Services for final design of the US 85 shoulder widening. It's project number CI 2021-021. And again, we have Benjamin Pierce from engineering presenting. Benjamin?
Thank you for your time. And so here's another public contract for services for the US 85 shoulder widening project. And again, I am Ben Pierce in the Capital Improvements Group here at Douglas County. And I just wanted to highlight the picture that I've shown on the cover here is on the very western side of this project. This is at the Daniels Park Road and US 85 intersection. And one thing I wanted to point out is, as a related project that we have that interfaces with this one, is by the time we go to construct this project, there will be a temporary span wire signal there, which will definitely help with operations for construction of this project, in addition to just general safety improvement for the county. So project overview map. So we're in Castle Rock, just west of our offices here. And so the project goes from Daniels Park Road and US 85 on the western extents to basically where the ramps for Castle Rock Parkway and North Meadow Drive start. And so this stretch of highway, if you've driven it before, it's very narrow. There's just one lane in each direction, and there's no shoulders. The only place where there is existing shoulders is where there's guardrail. And so, one of the big reasons for this project is to make it a little bit easier for bicyclists who do use this section of road, especially going from Castle Rock Parkway to Happy Canyon, and then also sometimes up to Daniels Park, and some of the other amenities up that way. I know I've been on the road a few times and had bicyclists there, and I always am afraid for them because there's such high speeds and really nowhere for them to be other than in the lane. And so that was a big reason for us pursuing this project with CDOT. Well, another thing I'd like to point out about the project location, we are constrained on the south side by the Union Pacific Railroad, and then further south, East Plum Creek. So again, there's, some sensitive environmental locations here, and then also, just the challenges of working with the railroad. Some of their right-of-way is up to and even potentially over parts of the existing US 85 roadway through here. So they will definitely be a stakeholder in this project. So just a little more detailed overview about the project. So again, we're widening shoulders on this section of US 85. And the goal is to widen to 5-foot shoulders where there aren't currently any present. And so the main reason for that is so that we can install rumble strips, which are about 1 foot wide, and still have 4 feet of space for bicyclists, the occasional pedestrian, and a vehicle that maybe needs to pull off the side of the road and have a safer refuge for them to be. We will be resetting the existing guardrail to proper height. So again, this is a situation in which the existing infrastructure is not to current standards. So in accordance with CDOT standards, we'll be raising the guardrail in order to have a safer condition out there. We'll be restriping the pavement markings to wider CDOT standards. That makes them more visible and improves safety. And then as part of the shoulder widening, we'll be regrading the roadside slopes and ditches, which will improve roadside drainage. That's another thing I've noticed from being out there is after a good rain, you see lots of puddles everywhere, which means water isn't getting where it's supposed to. And when it ends up underneath the roadway, that can definitely cause maintenance issues, which can lead to potholes and things like that. And then lastly, we're investigating widening to create a westbound and northbound right turn lane at US 85 and Daniels Park Road. So that picture that I showed at the beginning of the presentation, on the left side of that picture is where currently it's a little bit wider pavement through there. And I know when I've been through there, cars use that extra pavement as sort of an unofficial right turn lane because they want to get out of the way of the cars traveling further northwestbound up to Sedalia. And so we have enough room there that we're going to look to try to widen that enough to stripe a right turn lane, which will definitely improve safety and reduce the possibilities of rear end collisions at that location. So a little bit about our competitive selection process. So we chose 4 firms from our Douglas County shortlist to submit proposals, and all 4 were received and scored. And Aecom received the highest score from the 3 evaluators in the CIP group. And two of the evaluators ranked them number 1, and the 3rd evaluator ranked them number 2. So it was well agreed that that they had an excellent proposal. Their fee was very competitive with the other fees received. And just wanted to note that Aecom has excellent past performance working on both CDOT and Douglas County projects, including other work along the US 85 corridor. For example, it's going to be a lot of the same team working on this project that is currently working on the temporary span wire design for the US 85 and Daniels Park Road signal. And a little bit about schedule. So Aecom will be complete with their design sometime in the fall of next year, and construction will be anticipated to be completed by fall of 2023. So we'll use most of the 2023 construction season to construct the project. In terms of funding, the design cost came in at $240,000. And the estimated construction cost is about $1.1 million. And I will say with that construction cost, that is definitely subject to change a little bit based on project refinement. That was a conceptual cost estimate done for purposes of the funding application. And then as part of this, like I said, it's a partnership with CDOT through the Safer Main Streets initiative. And so we will receive 80% of the estimated construction cost via an IGA. So that'll be $880,000 towards the construction of this project. And the IGA will be brought before the county commission next year. We wanted to wait until we get into design a little bit more to see if there's any additional safety improvements that CDOT may want to fund as part of this project, including adding additional guardrail or potentially replacing some guardrail, but that is at their discretion. So with that, the official staff recommendation is to approval of a public contract for services to Aecom for the US 85 shoulder widening project. And just one point I wanted to make, I tried to include project pictures when I do these presentations, and there's only so many pictures of a road that you can see, and they all kind of look the same. But this was one that I took when I was out there investigating and looking at the existing guardrail, and it was a first for me. You see a lot of trash and things on the side of the road, but this is the first time I've seen wild watermelons growing. So it was between the road and the UP Railroad right there, and they were about baseball size. So that was certainly interesting, more so than seeing broken car parts and things like that. So with that, if there's any questions or comments for me, I'd be happy to answer them right now.
Benjamin, thank you so much for that. Any questions or comments for Benjamin?
So, Mr. Pierce, thank you for the humor that you bring to your presentations. I've never seen one of these in a presentation before, so thank you. You also made a comment about should CDOT want to do more work or something to that effect. What do you think the chances of that are?
Well, they didn't say no, so they did agree to wait for the IGA until later in order for us to investigate that. And that was an important point of when we applied for funding for this project. We wanted to make sure that there wasn't going to be, scope creep with them wanting us to address more concerns than we were really looking to as part of this project. And so that was one of them. We are replacing we are resetting the guardrail to current standards, but not necessarily replacing it or upgrading it. But as part of the design, we are planning on doing a more holistic safety evaluation and providing that to CDOT. And then that's part of what they'll evaluate and decide whether they want to add any scope to the project.
Well, that's interesting. Thank you for that information. We had a very long work session this morning about bicycles and safety, so this is a very, very timely project. So thank you for your presentation and bringing it to us. I have no questions.
Thank you. Commissioner Teal?
No questions. Again, excellent presentation.
Yeah, again, Benjamin, this is of critical importance. I think oftentimes transportation solutions come to us through our citizens as a top priority, and US 85 shoulder widening is often near the top of that list. So it's great to see this come before us, and it's certainly timely with the conversation around bicycling today. So with that, I will, unless there's any further questions or comments for Benjamin, I will open it up for public comment. Is there any public comment in the room on this item 4B? Seeing none, I will open it up for comment online. Troy, is there any comment online?
Thank you, Commissioner. I have no online comment.
Troy, you're a little quiet on our end in here. Maybe the public can hear okay, but it's a little quiet on our end.
My apologies, Commissioner. New headset. I do not have any online comment.
Okay, so with that, I will close public comment and bring it back to the board for any further discussion and or a motion.
Mr. Chair, I have a motion to approve a public contract for services to Ecom Technical Services, Inc. for final design of the U.S. Highway 85 shoulder widening from milepost 185 to milepost 188 project for an amount not to exceed $240,000. Douglas County project number CI 2021-021.
Second, and wish to speak in favor of the motion.
There's a first and second on the floor. Commissioner Teal.
Thank you, Chair. Again, great presentation. Safer Main Streets. What a project to bring in for funding. Hey, isn't that right, Art? Safer Main Streets was quite the, it felt like quite the project. And it was such an important project we saw through CDOT from really the highest levels in our state. And yet, actually bringing that in on this project and on other projects was quite a lot of work. So my hat is really off to the people who were in the trenches on this one and really got it done. I think it was 2002, 2003. I was northbound on 85. I got left rear flat and actually had to pull off in the vicinity of where those shops are right before Happy Canyon. And they weren't there.